The other night while scanning Facebook Marketplace, I ran across an ad that said 1995 Chevy 1500 truck for $2,000. And the pictures of the truck made it look pretty good. Looked like a pretty decent old truck. I contacted the seller and he said that I could come over Thursday night after he got off work around 5 o'clock. So I got a hold of my brother and told him that I'd like to go look at this truck, and we took the cash with us. I was planning on buying the truck for $2,000 because it looked to be in pretty decent shape. And the seller said the running condition and the condition of the truck was pretty decent. It was the seller's parents' truck, and they no longer needed it. They had one horse, maybe two, when they lived up in Washington, and they would haul hay with this truck occasionally, a few bales at a time. They sold their place in Washington and sold the horses and moved down to Dallas, Oregon, where they bought a place in town. They brought the truck down with them, and they'd kept it there for a couple of years and just did not have a need for the truck. Occasionally going to the landfill, but not very often. So they finally decided it was time to sell the truck. And that's when their son placed the ad on Facebook Marketplace. We met the seller at his parents' house to take a look at the truck. And the first thing I noticed was the truck was not a 1500. It was actually a 2500 3/4 ton. However, a very light duty 3/4 ton. It really looked like a half ton, but it had heavier duty springs in the rear. The interior of the truck was very nice for a 40-year-old truck. The power seat worked nicely. The power windows, power door locks, cruise control, and all those things seemed to work very nice in the truck. However, the air conditioning did not work in the truck, and it was going to require, at the minimum, a recharge and check for leaks. And when we went to start the truck, the starter would just click. It would click 2 or 3 times, and then it would crank over, and then the engine would start up okay. I noticed upon the startup that the engine had an exhaust leak, and it had a pretty good exhaust leak on the right-hand side. Yep. And the seller, he did not know that. He had not driven the truck for quite some time, so he was unaware of the issues with the truck. So he worked with us, and we were able to purchase the truck for $1,500. On our way home, we stopped at the Washington Street Steakhouse and Pub, where we decided to talk about the truck and have a little something to eat. We had a burger and fries, bacon burger and fries. At this point, my brother and I talked about the truck, and he decided that he would really like to keep the truck. And he had more of a need for the truck than I did, so I agreed to let him buy the truck. The next morning, we took the truck to Dopey's Car Wash in Sheridan, Oregon. Now, this car wash has hot water with the soap, and it's only $1.50 for 5 minutes. It's a great car wash, and it's very well taken care of. We used a combination of Purple Power and Super Clean to clean the engine compartment. We sprayed it all down and used the hot water from the pressure washer, and it came out pretty nice considering the age of the truck. And the truck had lived up in Washington near the coast, so it did have a little bit of surface rust on the engine and the aluminum components, but otherwise was in very nice shape and came out very clean. Yeah, that would cause a leak for sure. She was a little noisy. My brother picked up a used exhaust manifold from the U-Pull Wrecking Yard in Dallas, Oregon for $40. And it seemed to fit just fine. An exhaust leak is no longer. And I had a used starter that we were able to put on the truck and take care of the starting problem. So now the truck is quiet and it starts good. The last thing to tackle will be the air conditioning. The 1988 to 1998 Chevrolet pickups are known as the OBS, the old body style trucks. Now, they are still considered the C and the K, C being a two-wheel drive and K being a four-wheel drive. The OBS trucks began in 1988, and they had a throttle body injected engine, fuel injected, whether it was the V6, the 305 V8, or the 350, or the 454. Personally, I really like the throttle body injected engines. They're very, very simple, easy to work on. The engine compartment was no longer cluttered. Like a 1986 Chevrolet pickup was very cluttered under the hood. When they went to the throttle body fuel injection, they could meet the emission laws and got rid of all the clutter with the fuel injection. And they were very, very simple to maintain, and many of those trucks are still on the road today with well over 300,000 miles. The 1996, 97, and 98 trucks came out with a central port fuel injection. The central port fuel injection performed much better than the throttle body injection and probably was better for emissions. However, it wasn't as reliable as the throttle body. The central port injection had some issues, had plastic fuel lines that would crack. They were somewhat problematic, but there still are many of those trucks on the road today. The Cash for Clunkers program took a lot of the OBS Chevrolet trucks to the wrecking yards very early. Some of those trucks were in pretty decent shape that were turned in for the Cash for Clunkers $700. I really like the OBS trucks. They're getting harder to find. And when you do find a nice example, you probably want to buy it up because they are a very reliable truck that are not very expensive to maintain and pretty easy to keep on the road. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. And if you would, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And that really helps us out. And we'll catch you next time at Rusty Duck Garage.